hopefully this is the good one. Hopefully this is the good uh, Zoom thing I got right here. I don't know which one I bought it with, but I guess I'm just going with this one. Anyway, we usually get a lot more guys here. They're gonna come in a little later. But yeah, we got one coming in here right now. But like, yeah, they're all on their schedule, and they're like, okay, we got Craig coming here. He's a very big guy. We need it. So
I'm not that
guys,
big, man. I'm only like
you're
5'9".
big to me. All right.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm such a big fan. Hold up. Let's see if I got your book right here. I think every author likes this, but
Oh, nice. You know.
right here.
Boom. Love it.
The house
Hell
hacking
yeah.
guy. Yeah. And it's fully highlighted and like all that. So that's
Awesome,
what every
So
author
good.
loves that.
Love that, dude. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But so again, welcome here. All right, this is the Nova Universe podcast. Again, people here at that listen to this podcast, and again, these guys here, they're from ages 16 to 26, right? Again, newbies, right? They don't, they want to get, they probably just read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And they want to have that mentality of, okay, what do I do? Okay, real estate is my main thing. Okay, and me, I'll tell you a little about me. I am Fayetteville alum. I have about 4 properties. I'm 19, right? And with your method, I mostly got about 1 right now with that, and with the other ones, I am I have a conventional loans, and I am Airbnb as well. So
nice.
Those are going great. So Craig, let's hear about you. All right, who are you to these guys?
Yeah. So for those that don't know me, my name is Craig. The Fi Guy is my social media and internet name. And so you guys are awesome because y'all are like, you guys look like you're so young, which is amazing. And I started relatively young relative to like, I started at 23, and at the time, like that was really young. Now 23 is older because you guys all look like you're, if you're 16 to 26, I mean, and you're 19, you're crushing it, man. I love that. But I bought my first property. At 24 is when I actually bought my first one, and it was a house hack, right? And so at the time, house hacking was fairly popular, not as popular as it is today, obviously. But the only way to really do it was to buy like a duplex, triplex, or quad, right? Like that was the way, the public way to do it. And so I bought a duplex. I lived in the bottom, rented out the top, put up a like little room divider and curtain in the living room, basically. And that's where I slept, and I Airbnb'd out my bedroom. So that's kind of like, how I got started. And that was because I was like young, I was a single dude, and I was like ready to just like take on anything in order to achieve financial independence as quickly as possible. So, that property, I bought it for $385,000. It was in a great part of Denver. The mortgage payment on that was about $2,000 a month. I was renting the top out for $1,750, and I was getting $1,150 for the bottom. I'm sorry, $1,100 for the bottom. So I was getting a total of $2,850 in rent on a $2,000 mortgage while living for free, right? So, that's about what, $850 over the mortgage, living for free on my first year, right? And so that was, that's like probably close to a $2,000 savings from what I was before when I was renting. And that savings allowed me, on top of my current savings from my job, right, allowed me to buy, the next house hack a year later in year 2. And then I did that every year for the next really 5 years. So for 5 years, I house hacked. And that is what allowed me to, be able to quit my W-2 job. It allowed me to take that big risk in starting a real estate team, the Fi team, which you can see back here.
Right there, yeah.
So and now it's like it's a new venture. It's super fun, and now I'm kind of like the boss, right? Like I get to pick my own hours. I get to design my own life, and I get to hire people to do things that I don't want to do, versus being the person that someone is hiring to do what they don't want to do. And I think that's a really powerful and fun position to be in. But it takes a few years to get there. But once you're in that position, you kind of stop thinking about your money in hundreds of dollars and in thousands of dollars, and you start thinking of it as in 10,000s, 100,000s, and millions of dollars, right? And so I think like once you can kind of graduate to that level, it's a different ball game. and you guys are so young, right? And you guys are, when you guys are just getting your jobs, right? I see one guy's in the military here,
Yeah.
Francisco. Like, you can use like the VA loan, right? Like use this stuff to your advantage, or make sure you educate. There's a lot of military specific stuff. But when you get a job, guys, like make sure your intention is to, like, if your intention is to quit that job as soon as possible, like get the highest paying job you can, keep your expenses super low, and realize that you can get a job making 150,000 a year, which would be amazing, right? But you want to live on like 30,000 a year, right? Like you want to live in the cheapest place as possible. And your friends, right? Your coworkers who are making $150,000 right next to you are gonna be like, "What the heck are you doing? Like, why are you living in the crappy part of town? Why do you live with roommates? Like, you're making this much money." And your mom is gonna say that. Your dad is gonna say that. Like, everyone in your life that loves you is going to question your motives, and be ready to like put on that suit of armor because they're not going to get it. But just wait, like wait until year 3, 4, and 5 when shoot, you got 10, 15 properties and you're retired by age 25, and like, and what depends on what you want to do with your life, right? Like, do you want to retire on 10 grand of passive income? Right? If so, like, great, kick it. But if you want to take your 10 grand of passive income, have that cover your basic expenses, and then go ahead and take a risk by starting your own business. So then maybe you can make $100,000 a month of passive income. Like, if that sounds more fun to you, then do that, right? Or go somewhere in between. But like really that first step, that first the thing that you all should be focusing on right now is just achieving that baseline financial independence, $3,000 to $5,000 a month for, young single dudes, or maybe you've got a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever way you go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just enough to sustain your lifestyle.
Gotcha. And Craig, so you're like 26, right? I believe. Is that true?
I'm 29 now.
29. Okay. I mean, you
Yeah,
still look
yeah,
like you're 26. Love the mustache, by the way. Looks good on you. And when did you reach financial freedom?
I reached financial freedom at 26.
26. Okay. And
Yeah.
how many properties did you have then and now, right now?
So I had three. My third property got me to financial independence. It was a little
Wow.
over. It was a little over $3,000 a month is all I needed. I was a
Okay.
single guy living in a room, house hacking, right? So I had no rent expense. I bought a cheap car that was fully paid off, so insurance was low and it was gas efficient. Um, didn't go out to eat all that much, but I still choose to eat like at home because it's
Yeah.
just healthier and easier.
Mhm.
And really, I travel. Like I've never, like, that was one thing I never stopped spending on is traveling, because I just love to travel. And so I would say, like, if you've got something that you love to do, like, do it, but you can do it cheap. Like, you can travel cheaper than you can stay here, right? Like, especially if you go to like a South America or Southeast Asia. So I would just choose to go to cheap places now, and I'm like, hey, I'll save the expensive places for when I have more money later on in life,
Gotcha. That's smart.
right?
Yeah. I never thought of,
Um,
like, yeah, just go to cheap like vacations, and then in the future just wait until you have that, like, you're above financial freedom, and then that now you can go
yeah.
to Germany and I guess
Now you
eat the
can live.
bread over there.
Yeah, granted, I have been to the expensive places like before I knew about all this stuff, but
Oh yeah.
if I was more intentional back then when I was traveling, like, in college and stuff, I just did whatever I wanted. But like once I got intentional about saving, I was like, my trips since then have been South America and Southeast Asia and Central America, which are all really cheap and really fun, and still great places to go.
Awesome.
Um,
And I recommend this to like all young guys too. Even though I'm young, I feel like I got an old soul. Okay. And uh some dude once told me, like, again, he was like, yeah, a lot of young people, I guess, is like the millennial or Gen Z, whatever, what do they call it? Like, this is like their mindset. Oh, I gotta travel, I gotta know who I am, I gotta know my passion. I'm like, well, if you're gonna eat the fancy food and like look at the minerals around the world and you think you can get your passion out of that, it's
yeah,
not the right way, right? It's just what you've been told, like, hey, you should probably travel because on Instagram all these people are traveling. No, you should probably like get down to what you said, reach financial freedom, right? Even if you're reaching financial freedom, you can still go to the cheap vacations and go through all that. But you gotta make mistakes, right? You going through Germany is not gonna help you teach yourself who you are. Is you might have like temporary like enjoyment, but if you want everlasting enjoyment, you gotta do the hard stuff now so you can
yeah,
do the fun stuff all together. You can still do some fun stuff
yeah.
while you're doing this stuff, but
It's all, yeah. I
keep it
mean,
low.
know that every dollar you spend is taken away,
Mhm.
is taking you farther away from financial independence, and just be careful for each dollar you spend. And traveling for me gave me a lot of clarity, right? And so like, and hiking gives me a lot of clarity, like just being out in nature, being out in the woods. And so like, um, that is where I got my clarity on like, hey, I want to go real estate. I want to go financial independence. Like, and there was like there's like these goals. You have this goal of, the first one is like $3,000 to $5,000 of passive income, hit that like lean level fi. And then once you hit that lean level fi, you're like, all right, well, do I stop here or do I keep going? Or do I want to introduce some luxuries into my life?
Mhm.
Right. And most people like to have some luxuries. Like if you think about, you want to have a family, you want to have kids, like all that stuff. And so ideally, if you guys are maximum age 26, like by the time you're 30, you should be pretty much set for life, like set for life, in the terms of, maybe you've got 10 to $20,000 of passive income to the point of, so if you have kids, you can support them and all that with your passive income, and then you can make money on the side and whatever, but you don't have to rely on a job to support your bills.
Gotcha. We're gonna go over like how you do all your real estate, all the process of your houses and all that. But let's just start from the beginning, right? How did you get that mindset, or like what caused you to be like, okay, I need to buy this house. I need to like house hack it, or were you like, oh, this is probably a good idea? Do you read like Rich Dad Poor Dad, or what happened? Like, what was that mindset?
So 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss
Yeah.
talks about passive income. It talks about like, hey, think about your income as a monthly like as a monthly number instead of an annual number. So I started thinking about my income is monthly and my expenses is monthly, and I was like, okay, I need to get like this much passive income to achieve these expenses, and that was like the idea of passive income. And so at the time when I read that book, I was actually living in San Francisco, working at a venture capitalist firm. Like, so like startup was like the only route to go, right? No one invested in real estate there. So I was just thinking of dumb startup idea after dumb startup idea. And then I kind of like took a look at the place. I met the landlord actually of the place that I was renting. I gave her my check and I looked around and saw that there were like 20 or 30 units. And I had just given her like $2,000 and my roommate just gave her $2,000. And I was like, damn, she's making like $4,000 a unit times 20 units. That's like 80 grand a month. Like, how much does she like? I was like, this lady's really, really smart. And she didn't seem smart. She was like an old woman that whatever, and so that's when I kind of started thinking, and I started thinking about real estate, and I found Bigger Pockets, and I learned about house hacking from Brandon and Josh Dorkin, and then it was like, okay, it's a no brainer. You have to start with a house hack, like that's a no brainer. And so I moved to Denver, got a job at Bigger Pockets, and then it kind of just all started coming together from there. And so it wasn't like a matter of I decided to do this. It was like the only option that I saw as going forward.
Gotcha. And with that first house hack, right? Uh, did anybody help you out with that? You're like, okay, what do I do? You look up stuff on Reddit, or you did your Bigger Pocket searches, and I'm guessing you went to the bank. Did you get an FHA for your first one?
Yep, FHA for the first one.
Okay. And okay, so the first one, I hear this a lot, right? But for you, from your first one to your second deal, how long did that take?
1 year.
1 year.
Exactly 1 year. Yep.
Okay. And from that, because again, at FHA, guys, it takes about 12 years for you to, again, house hack another house, because that's the limitations that you need for FHA. So from there, did you use your FHA again? Did you refinance your first property and use the FHA, or what did you do after that?
So if you buy a duplex, triplex, or quad, you have to go FHA, and so that's what I learned on the first one. But if you buy a single family home, you can house hack it and you can go conventional. So you can do like a 3 or 5% down conventional, in which case you would not have to refinance it every year. So the first one I did FHA, the second one I did conventional, and every other one after that I've done conventional. I haven't done FHA again because FHA is kind of a pain in the butt. The appraisal's harder, the inspection's harder. PMI doesn't burn off.
Yeah.
So it's actually conventional actually works out better.
So did you do 5% conventional, or is it like 20%, 25%?
5% down. Yep.
Okay. For each
3
one?
and 5% down. Yep.
Okay.
You just have to live there for a year. That's the only requirement.
Okay. So but you would recommend, if it was a duplex or a triplex, fourplex, to get an FHA.
That's right.
Nice.
But then you'd have to do 15% down.
Gotcha. And from your first house, right, 5% down, what was the I guess, did you still have PMI? You still have PMI because you didn't reach that 20% um, threshold,
Yep.
right?
Yep. You still have PMI even on the conventional loans, but those will burn off. After 7 years, those will go away because
Really?
you have equity. And if the house appreciates, which I know in my market it tends to do, you can actually just email the lender and be like, hey, can I get a reappraisal? And if it comes out to 20% or higher, they'll take the PMI away.
Okay. Is a reappraisal like the same thing as a refinance?
No, so reappraisal is just the appraiser goes out and appraises the property.
Okay.
And then if appraises for 20% more than the loan value, then you can take the PMI off.
Okay. And for these guys here, what tip can you give for them to know, like, hey, did my house actually appreciate, or are you just like going off what other comps are saying around the area?
Yeah, you go off comps. I mean, after depending on your market, like I know in Denver, it's just gone up really fast. So it's like we know, like I know it, I just know it has. But like if you're kind of close, you could wait another year just to make sure that you're there.
Mhm.
Or you pay the $600 for an appraisal. If it doesn't come in at value, you lost $600, but it was a $600 gamble. That could have saved you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or let's say you've got a loan of 300,000, you have to get to $400,000 of value in order to get the PMI off, and you come in at like 395 on the appraisal. You can put an extra $5,000 towards your loan amount to make up that difference and take off the PMI. You can do it that way.
Nice. Yeah. And have you said how many properties do you own right now? Is it still 3 or is it more than that?
I own 20 units right now.
20 units. Is it an apartment complex, I'm guessing?
No, all duplexes and
Duplexes. Okay.
in single families, and yeah.
Okay. And would you recommend these guys to go the single family route? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got to get multifamilies. And in my situation as well, I can barely find multifamilies, right? So
Yeah, it
do
really
single,
depends on your location, honestly, man. Like and where you are. I think like in the more expensive markets, single families work well because they tend to be a little bit cheaper.
Mhm.
And in those expensive markets, it tends to be where people want to live. So renting by the room is quite common. But if you're in like, I don't know, like a kind of a hee-haw kind of town, where people don't want to like rent by the room, or Airbnb is not super popular, then a traditional duplex, triplex quad would be better. But those prices are probably cheaper. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
And if you were to go from an FHA to another property, do you have to tell your lender, like, hey, I'm gonna move out of this. I want this to be my secondary home, but I want this to be my primary. Do you tell them that, or you just do it right away without even notifying them?
Well, usually you go to the same lender, or at least
Mhm.
I have. So they kind of just like, and you're getting another, when you do your second one, you're getting another primary residence mortgage. So they know you're going to move. You want to tell your insurance company though, because you want to tell them that, hey, I'm going to change this from a homeowner's policy to a landlord policy, and it will go up a couple $100 for the year. And then,
Oh, lagged out. I lagged a little bit there. What did you say at the end right there?
I just said you want to tell your insurance person.
Okay.
Your mortgage person will know because you're going to be buying a new loan,
Mhm.
but your insurance person, you want to change the insurance policy from your first house hack to a landlord policy, and then you want to, for the new one, it's going to be a homeowners again for a year.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. For the guys here, right? They're trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna house hack, right? But is it a good time to do it since the market, again, you know this well too, Craig, like it's pretty high right now. So what would you recommend to these guys? Would you tell them like to wait to like, I mean, house hack you'll win either way.
You can't really lose on a house hack, honestly, as long as you guys are doing your research and getting educated and making sure you do things right. No one knows what the market's going to do. In 2017, when I bought my first one, people said the market was at its peak. I mean, that property's doubled since then. If I listened to what people were saying, so there's always going to be those, we call it fear porn. Like people are going to scare you. It's easy. It's addicting. But just be careful, because like I'd say, like with a house hack, buy the house, like you buy the house hack, you make sure that it covers your mortgage, right? The rent covers your mortgage. When you move out, even when you're living there, you can pay a little bit, but like when you move out, make sure the rent covers your mortgage. That way, if the market dips, then you can still hold on to it. You don't have to sell it. And if the market goes up, you've got options. So
I never heard of that fear porn. That's the
Yeah.
first time I ever heard that. That's funny though. I
Really?
like that. I'm start
Yeah.
using that now.
There you go.
Uh, uh, with so you haven't. I'm guessing you haven't like refinanced any of your property so far. You just had people like reappraise it. Is that true?
No, I've refinanced a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you doing back? Okay, let's say they don't have a good market, right? Some of these guys are in an area where it's very a small town, right? Not a lot of people go here, and their job is right next door. Okay. And they're like, okay, I know places like Florida, places like Texas, they're booming in real estate. They're great for real estate. Um, they're like, should I? And it goes with David Green's book, Long Distance Real Estate, right? Is there a way to incorporate um, real estate in long distance and house hacking? Because again, transportation is also one of the biggest expenses that people have, and we're trying to limit that as much as we can. So
I mean, you gotta live in the residence to house hack.
yeah,
That's kind of the thing. So I wouldn't really try to long distance and house hacking is kind of like a contradiction. But I would say that if you're in an area where there's not a lot of people, I suspect the prices would be pretty low. So you have the ability to scale very clean in terms of unit count. So I've got friends out in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Some of you military folks may have heard of that place.
I'm there right now.
You're there right now. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I've got a handful of rental properties there. Do you know like Shelby
yeah,
Osborne?
I'm over
Okay.
there.
Yeah. So I'm really good friends with her. And her team, like, they went from like 0 to like 80 doors in like a year
I know,
because
it's
the market's so
crazy.
cheap, right? You can buy houses for 100 a grand.
Yeah,
And so like that's your advantage. That's your advantage right there of being in the military. And it seems like a lot of you guys are military or going to be like just
yeah,
maybe I'm judging you by the way you look and what your rooms look like behind you. But
yeah. Honestly,
yeah.
there's probably like 4 people here that are me, including me, that are in the military.
Yeah.
And we just had David Pierre here like last week
I was
talking
gonna
about,
say,
and he helped these guys a lot too.
yeah,
But
I'll be hanging out with him in a couple of weeks.
oh, that's awesome. I think
Yeah.
you just made a podcast with David Green, right? As well.
Yeah, on
Oh,
Bigger Pockets. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be? Hey, are you gonna be one of the the hosts as well for a long time?
I,
Or
I don't know. They told me I was 3 and done. So,
oh no.
but put in a good word for me and maybe.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Feel like
Now, when it comes to real estate, right? What's your mental process or rule of thumb? Because I know some people they still go by the 1% rule, but I don't think so. But what is your one rule that you go by, or like the rule of thumb?
I just try to house hack house hack every year on the year and don't look for like the best deal. Don't try to look for like the best ROI because like every house hack is going to be an 80 to 100% ROI. The magic in house hacking is doing it every single year on the year because that's what makes it so magical, right? Like buying one in year one, right? Let's say like I'm going to use Denver numbers. So like my first property cash flows me $1,000 a month, right? Would I rather have a property that cash flows me $1,100 a month and wait 6 months for it, or would I rather have 2 properties that each cash flow me $1,000 a month? So I've got 6 months of $1,000 of additional cash flow instead of one property with $100 a month of extra cash flow.
Of course,
right? So like you got to like people get really caught up in like, oh, this deal doesn't pencil because like this one was $100 more than this one. It's like, nah, it doesn't matter. Just like get in. If the number is cash flow, go for it. You're going to learn, break down the barriers. You're not going to get rich off of one deal, but you will get rich off of 5, 7, 10 deals, right? So, and then as you'll graduate from house hacking. Like after 5, you'll get exhausted, and then you'll start looking at bigger and badder things. So
yeah. And with going towards the lender, do you tell them, hey, I'm trying to get a 5%? Do you just tell them like I'm trying to get 5% down on this one? And do you go for private lenders, or do you go for regular banks, or what's your route to lending?
Just regular. I have a go relationship with a lender, so wherever you guys are, I would just reach out to your real estate agent, and they probably know a lender, a high quality lender that you can work with.
Okay. And you said that you're like just do a house hack. It doesn't matter what the deal is, but do you recommend a certain route, a certain type of property that you're looking to aim for? Like, okay, 3 bedroom by 2, you can't go wrong with that, or a duplex, you can never go wrong with that. Well, what is your kind of like, don't get that house in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just depends on your market. Are you guys all in Fayetteville?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it depends on your market. So again, Denver, like what works here is like 5 bed, 2, 3 bathroom homes. There's got a basement. You can separate them pretty easily. I know, I mean, in Fayetteville, I just have single family homes and the 3 bed, 2 baths rent out pretty nicely there. Um, and then it just depends on where you are, honestly. I would talk to your real estate agent and just say, hey, like, what do you see a lot of, like, for house hackers, or what do you see a lot of? And then, see if you're willing to kind of go through with that strategy.
Okay. And during your real estate endeavor, like, what was the biggest obstacle you faced?
Um, mm, I don't know. Honestly, it's probably just like the grind of it. Like, like it's not easy, like living with people sometimes. It's not easy, like making decent money and making more money, but still like living super below your means, and having like your peers and your family and everyone that you've ever loved and taken advice from kind of like steer you in the opposite direction that you're going. But just know that, if like the way that I thought of it was like when my parents were giving me advice, they were still working. And I was like, I don't want to be working when I'm their age. So why would I take advice from them with regards to my career? Right. Like clearly, like they did something that I don't want to do. So, it's kind of hard because growing up, you just think your parents know everything, right? And you take their advice because they're there to, and they want the best for you. But they're like, be safe, be safe, be safe, be safe. But like, you got to push yourself. You got to get out of that comfort zone, and take advice. Like, look up to the people that you want to be like. Look up to the people that are a few years ahead of you, right? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's Faber. Sorry, man, I don't know
It's
how to.
Faven. It's Faven. Yeah, everybody gets that.
Yeah,
Everybody gets it
Faven.
wrong.
Yeah. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, but like look to them to see what they're doing and take their advice, right? Because that's where you're going to want to go. So,
Yeah, that's also a good life advice right there. Like, don't take advice from just anybody. Look up to your peers, or not even your peers. Like, look up to anybody that you want to be, or you want to trade places with, and like just take advice from them.
mhm.
And from what kind of resources did you also use? Because I know a lot of people that use um, prop stream for their real estate endeavors. And do you use that for your house hacking as well, or what do you use?
I use Rent Ready to manage my properties.
Mhm.
Um, so I also have a discount. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you get 20% off if you use the Fi Guy discount code if you use Rent Ready. I've got an affiliate relationship with them. I don't like. I'm not here to sell you
I
guys
know,
or
I know, you're
anything.
good. You're
Yeah,
good. It's fine.
I genuinely use
I
them. I
know.
genuinely like them, and they gave me a discount code, so I always throw it out. But yeah. So Rent Ready is like a thing that I use. They're good for like screening, collecting rents, basically all things property management. Um, I use Rentometer for rent estimates, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Zillow, all for rent estimates. I used the Bigger Pockets calculators at first, but then I kind of created my own. Then just education, man, right? Like, we've got a podcast that's more for like beginners. It's called Investify, like
Mhm.
invest to FI. Obviously read the books, whether it's a house hacking book,
Yeah.
whether it's a Bigger Pockets books, and just educate, educate, educate. And, that's the biggest thing is just like your life should just be revolved around educating yourself and getting better, 1% better every day.
Okay. And from that, do you own all your properties, or do you also do partnerships as well?
I do a partnership with one of my properties. Yeah.
Nice.
But
And
own the rest. Yeah.
do you value that partnership, or like not value? I mean, like, do you believe that partnership is a great thing, or do you believe like, hey, you should probably like do your own first, or something like that?
I think it's good to do your own first, honestly. Again, maybe this is because that's just how I did it. But like I think it's good to do your own first. So that way you can develop a skill set and you can figure out what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And then eventually, when you figure out what you like to do, you can find someone to partner to do the things that you don't like to do. Right. Or if you want to scale, like, you find someone to bring money and you do the work, or vice versa. But yeah. That
Okay.
would be my, I mean, yeah, I'm not like, I think partnering is the way you grow, the way you scale, the way you make a lot of money for sure. But like when you're first starting out, I think it's good to, you know, get down and dirty with it.
Gotcha. And what are your biggest tips for these guys trying to get financial freedom? I know you said house hacking. What other advice would you give for young guys that are trying to be financially free?
Just, you know, make as much money as you can, spend as little as you can, and invest the difference in real estate and in house hacking. That's like the obvious advice. Just keep educating yourself, right? Just keep listening to podcasts, keep reading the books, keep like just constantly make a habit of doing that and get into a routine. Um, One thing that changed my life was The Miracle Morning. I'm not sure if you guys have read that book, but
I
I
have.
highly recommend you read that and implement it immediately because, man, like when I don't do The Miracle Morning, my life is my day is just screwed up. Like, and so getting to a place where if you don't do it, your life is messed up is really good.
Nice. Can you give some like things that you utilize now from that book?
Everything like the whole
Like,
savers, I do it every morning.
okay.
Like oh, okay, so I guess in case you haven't read the book, so basically what he talks about, is that what you want me to do, is kind of
Yeah,
go
yeah,
into
yeah.
the book?
Basically, because some of
Yeah.
these guys haven't read it.
Okay, yeah, so basically Hal Elrod, what he did was he interviewed like some of the most successful people in the world and figured out what their morning routines were, and he basically dialed it down to these 6 things that he uses the acronym SAVERS for. So the S is for silence and meditation. So every morning I wake up and I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. Then you have affirmations. So after my meditation, you don't have to do it in this order. But after that, I do my affirmations. So I like write down the things that I want to achieve and I just like state them over and over again for like 5 minutes. And then I close my eyes and I visualize myself achieving those goals. That's my form of visualization. A lot of people have like a bulletin board with like magazines that they pin or like whatever. I mean, one form of visualization is like the background on my phone is like is the bucket list couple, and they're just a family that travels around the world. That's been my background for like 5 years, right? And that's like a form of visualization. So there it is. You can see it. Um, and then exercise is the other one. So I'll usually I work out in the morning, so I'll do like an hour and a half workout, and then read for 40 minutes, and then scribe. S is for scribing or writing, and I'll write for like 30 to 40 minutes. So my miracle morning is like 3 hours long, 3 to 4 hours long. You don't have to do it for 4 hours. Hal Elrod suggests just chunking it out into like 10-minute intervals. So like just to get in the habit of waking up. So if you wake up at like 7 now, try to wake up at like 6 or 6:30 and do like 5 minutes of each thing, or 10 minutes of each thing. And then as you start getting in the habit of doing it, you can just increase the limits there. And serious game changer for me.
I agree. I love that part of the book. I also read the book and I liked how like it also like does the things that basic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius does, like where just sit down and like start journaling, wake up early. You're gonna see that waking up early, you'll get more things done than you would have like staying up late. And it's healthy for your brain and your body as well.
Mhm.
So I just
Yeah,
recommend going with that.
for
Also,
sure.
what would you recommend to these guys that are again choosing to go to the military or choosing to go to college because again their parents has raised them to be like, okay, you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to do that. What would you recommend to those guys that's been grown up to this like decision?
Like to go to college and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you have to just seriously evaluate like what you want to do with your life. Like college is great because it will help you get a job, a good high paying W-2 job, which will help you qualify for more, which will help you get house hack easier. It's a safer route, right? But you're wasting 4 years of time, in which case, like, could you learn a business? Could you wholesale? Could you like I find that people that drop out of college or don't go to college are a little bit more scrappy. Like they're building a wholesale business, or they're like burring, or they're like raising money, right? They're kind of doing it different ways than just the conventional like get a W-2 job and house hack, right?
Mhm.
So it just depends on your personality and what you want, because like you're gonna work really hard for those 4 years. But I mean, 4 years ago I had one house hack, right? And so if I like didn't go to college, right, like it's crazy to think how much progress you can make in 4 years. that you'd
Nice.
be in college.
Okay. Uh, and some of these guys are also in the military, and David Pierre, he gave his own 2 cents into that. Like, yeah, if you want to stay 20 years, stay 20 years. But again, after that, if you want to be your own boss, you can leave and start developing your own thing. Do you have who's your biggest inspiration, Craig, that you look up
Um,
to?
Honestly, probably Brandon Turner, who you guys
Yeah.
all probably know. I like, so he was the first guy, webinar guy I watched, the first podcast I listened to, the first book I read. I worked with him for a while. I've been to his house in Hawaii, and like, he's just like, in all phases of life, he just seems like he's like a really solid dude, really genuine guy, really nice. And obviously he's like super successful. So yeah, I would say like to live a life like his would be really nice.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a character. I like that though. Like
for sure.
if there's
Yeah.
a cartoon character of him, I can see it.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. I'm sure there is out there somewhere.
and what's your point of view on like cryptocurrency stocks? Because again, a lot of these guys like, should I go into real estate? Should I do this? Okay, I'm in real estate. Should I also do stocks, crypto, NFTs? What would you say about that?
Tread carefully. There's just not a lot of real estate is tried and true. It's been done for thousands and thousands of years, and people have gotten wealthy with it for thousands and thousands of years, and it's not going anywhere. Um, I'm I've got my own theories on crypto and NFTs, and I think a lot of people, Warren Buffett. Every time I go to invest in crypto, just Warren Buffett comes in my head, and he says, you know, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. And it just seems like people are getting really greedy with crypto and really greedy with NFTs right now. And everything going online and on this blockchain. And I don't know enough about it, honestly, to give you anything, but all I know is that it runs on things that need power. And if God forbid the power grid shuts down or anything happens like that, I mean, weird shit is happening. I think we can all agree, right? Like we've got we've got COVID. Two, we've got all this pressure from everyone, right? Government pressure to whether it's get vaccinated, get booster, get all this shit. We've got the fucking 5G stuff, that what's going to happen with that, with the planes. Like it just seems like there's a lot of weird stuff going on that no one can really explain. And like how much weirder is it going to get? I don't know. But having my money in something that I can't touch, and having my money in something that is on this blockchain that effectively, if for some reason the power grid shuts down or something happens or we overextend, what happens to all your money? What happens to your land in the metaverse? What happens? Right. So I that's just my perspective. And you might think I'm full of shit and I'm
No,
like
you're right. I was about to
doomsday or
say,
something.
I'll,
But uh I mean, I'm just like real estate, I can go to the property, I can sell it. Um, so
yeah,
that's my
I agree
2 cents.
with you because again, real estate, it's physically there. There's a certain amount of land you can have on Earth, right? But
Mhm.
cryptocurrency, you could just put another coin up. Money, you could just keep on printing it. So, but land, you'll always have it right there. Even if like the world ends, it's still right there. You own it.
Yeah, and
Tech.
and there's crypto guys and NFT guys that will fight me on it and say that it's finite because there's only so many combinations or something. I I I just I've tried to learn it. I think it's just beyond my level of comprehension, I think. And so if someday like Bitcoin becomes a real thing, I'll trade my houses for Bitcoin, right? Like,
Yeah.
like if that's the case, okay. But I think I'm okay not getting rich on kind of a new thing here. Something that's more prominent.
And how do you feel about those that dabble into stocks? Because they're like, oh, I gotta wait 12 more months for my next house hack. Why don't I just start doing stocks and see if I can get some equity out of that?
Yeah, it's a risk. I was putting my money in index funds while saving for the house hack. And, if the market goes up, that serves as a tailwind for you to save for the next house hack. If the market goes down, it serves as a headwind. So, it's just a risk you have to be willing to take. And I mean, 70% of the time the market goes up year over year. So I'd say it's a decent risk, but, it seems like every year we get closer to this crash, but,
Yeah,
we'll see what
the
happens.
crash.
Yeah.
It's coming up, I guess. I don't know. I keep
Yeah.
hearing it all the time. Everybody's saying there's gonna be a crash. There's not gonna be a crash.
There will be. There
Yeah,
will be. Just don't know
hopefully.
when.
So I
Yeah.
can just keep on investing. But
Yeah.
what does your team structure look right now?
So we've got like 20 or so agents on our team. And we're the FI team. So it's a investor friendly team out in Colorado. We pretty much service all of Colorado. Um, And so yeah, we basically coach, guide, and mentor people throughout that whole process of buying a house hack or buying an investment property, hook them up with anything they need. Very similar to like Five Pillars, if you know Shelby's team, what they do. And then we all also got we've got referral networks all around the country. So wherever you are, if you're looking for an investor-friendly agent, we'd be happy to help you out and hook you up with somebody. But yeah, so that's kind of that's it.
That's good. And with the self-improvement stuff, what's your relationship with your friends, your old friends, your new friends? And with that, what would you say makes a good friend? Because
that's a good question.
because a lot of these guys here, they're like, you hear Kevin Hart, you hear a lot of people, they say, look at the 5 people around you, and that's what you will become. So
yeah, I don't think Kevin Hart originated that, but
no, he did. If you see it, well, he never said it, but like people will say, look at Kevin Hart's 5 people around him, like in his documentary. You'll see that he keeps those 5 people close to him as much as possible.
Yeah, you want to you're going to want to be around people that are going to push you or at or above your level. I always find that you want to spend, I feel like I spend probably about 30% of my time with people above my level, 30% of my time with people at my level, and 30% of the time people below my level. And people below me, I kind of mentor them, right? Like that's kind of my giving back. The 30% above is how I grow. And the 30% around me is like how we kind of add value and keep each other accountable and we're relatable to each other. So, my core group is at or above my level for sure. Yeah, you kind of you don't not be friends with your old friends, but you just kind of fall out of touch and, you invite them to your wedding and see them at Christmas and Thanksgiving or whatever. But it's just not people you want to, I don't go to the bars on Friday and Saturday night anymore. I know zero interest in that. And so that's just kind of how you just kind of transition through life that way.
Gotcha. And what do you do with the toxic people that you probably can't get rid of, right? Let's say it's a relative or someone that you've been friends with ever since you were children, your best. What would you say about those type of toxic people? Is it better to cut them off early, or is it better to see if they would change? Because personally, I believe people will change, but is it better for yourself to cut them off instantly?
So I don't like to cut anybody off. I kind of just let it fizzle. I just don't ask them to hang out, basically. And if they ask me to hang out, I'll hang out sometimes. I won't hang out others. And just kind of show that you're really not putting any effort into the relationship, and they'll give up. They'll give up trying to hang out with you. They'll get the picture. It happens. It works every time, right? But so, yeah. I've got a friend that asked me to hang out, asked me to hang out. And again, I would every other time I'd hang out, and then I wouldn't answer one time, or, you just slowly become disinterested and just let it fizzle. And it might take a year or so to make it happen, but at least it doesn't feel like, hey, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And that sounds a lot worse than just kind of letting it fizzle out.
Gotcha. Yeah, you said it the right way. And what was your why back then, and what is your why right now?
Yeah, my why back then was just to have freedom, right? To just be able to quit my job. It was to be able to show people that it can be done at a young age. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to help retire my parents. I wanted to travel. I wanted to supply for my family when I had kids. I wanted to be there for them the whole time. And now, the why is still the same, but there's just faces to it now, right? Before there was this mystical girl that I was going to marry, and I wanted to support her. Well, now she exists, and I'm marrying her next month, right? And so now it's the woman I wake up next to is my motivation, right? And now it's okay, our future kids are my motivation, and okay, what's the lifestyle we want to live? What are the expenses that what is our ideal lifestyle, and how much are we going to spend each month on our ideal lifestyle, and how do I get to that number? And then that's my why, right?
Gotcha. It just gets more detailed, I'm guessing.
It gets more detailed. And it could have went the other way, right? Maybe I never found this woman, right? And maybe it was just to travel. And so then I was looking at, how do I travel full time, how I want to, right? But it changes, but you kind of have an idea of kind of where you're going.
Gotcha. And a lot of these guys will ask you this question, but I'm going to say it. If you can go back in time, right, what would you tell to your younger younger Craig Curelop, I guess, 18-year-old, 16-year-old, what would you say to yourself?
Don't be afraid to think bigger, quicker. So I had a hard trouble with that question because I thought I kind of did everything right, like house hacked every year, retired like financially independent by 26. Like that's pretty good for my time era. Like you guys will get there by like 21, but you know, that like felt really good. But now where I'm at and who I'm surrounded by is like people doing like multifamily, they've got thousands of units and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month of passive income and all that. I look at them and they just thought bigger sooner, right? Like they just thought like they started partnering, right? I was like afraid to partner for a couple of years. They started raising money. They started like being a little bit more aggressive than I was. And so, but my personality was like, I want to have that base level financial independence before I start taking big risks. And now I'm taking some bigger risks, but yeah, that was it.
Actually, you wanted that big 10x dream or rule that you wanted on yourself, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, honestly, I don't even care to have like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month of massive income, right? Like, I think like, my fiance and I, like our number is like, I think at like $20,000 a month, we would be like extremely happy with plenty left over.
Mhm.
But the number keeps moving because it's like, you guys are all really motivated. Like you can't just turn off that motivation switch, right? And be like, okay, I got 3,000 or 5,000. I'm just going to stop. It's like, okay, you might stop for like a month, but then you're like, okay, I got to go do something. And then
Yeah.
then now your new number is 10. And you get to 10, you're like, okay, like now I'm 22 at your age. And like, you're like, well, shit, like maybe I should bust this out until I'm 30. And then by 30, you'll be chilling with your millions and millions. And we'll need to make sure that we're still friends. So I can come hang out on your yacht. So yeah.
That's, and yeah, that's true. Like always have like that bigger goal and like keep going because again, I think I heard it from Brandon Turner first. Like, yeah, he got financial freedom and then he was drinking or margaritas in the beach and he's like, well, this is not fun anymore. After a couple of weeks, you're like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah, you get anxious.
Yeah, you're gonna start doing.
Yeah.
You want to do bigger things, and that's just your characteristic now.
Yeah,
Uh,
and well, one thing too is like you start focusing on like your health a lot more, in your relationships a lot more, and your faith if if you're religious, and you start focusing on giving back a lot more, and those things are like actually what makes life meaningful and powerful. And so like solving the money equation unlocks the freedom for all of that. And so we've been like health wise, right? Like work out 5 to 10 times a week. We eat organic everything, grass fed, grass finished beef. Like our diet is immaculate. Our exercise routine is great. We have tons of we are supplementing like crazy. Like we're not skimping on that because we don't have to, right? And so like that was really the first thing that we introduced back into our lives, right? And then like the next thing is like relationships. My dad, I took my dad for his 60th birthday. We did a tour, a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon. It's been a dream of his for a long time, right? That was a couple grand. Like, that was my passive income has allowed me to unlock something that was been on my dad's bucket list for how many years, right? And it wasn't even that much money. And so like it allows you, having money enhances every other part of your life if you so desire, right? And so I would just like, enjoy it too when you start to have some.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good point right there. And you said something about relationship, right? And that goes to the next question. If I tell these guys like, yeah, it's real estate, but it's also a people business too. So
Mhm.
you need to get good with people. You need to build relationships. What's my advice to these guys to read How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I feel like that's the best book you can do. What would be your advice for like, so because a lot of these guys are kind of like, I guess, introverts too, where it's very our society, our group of people, I guess our generation, where we're growing to playing video games and we don't need to go outside. We have our play PS5 to talk to our friends, I guess. And
Yep.
when we go outside, the real world is kind of hard to communicate with people. And what would you recommend to like better communicate with people?
Just get yourself out there, man. I mean, it's uncomfortable for you, so go get uncomfortable. Like go to meetups, and make sure you don't leave there without shaking 5 people's hands and having a serious conversation with 5 of them, right? Go put yourself in a position to meet people and just go meet them. Eventually, like wherever you guys are, like go on to Bigger Pockets, find investors in your area and go out to coffee with them. Like when I moved to Denver for 5 days a week for like 6 months, I would grab coffee with someone at 7:15 a.m. every morning and just get to know them. Eventually you'll know everybody in that town that's real estate investing. And then you'll have your network and you'll feel comfortable talking to people. But really you just got to put the reps in, got to learn how to have those conversations, learn how to like, give your like who you are in 30 seconds, what you're looking for, make friends. And it's just, yeah, go and meet people. That's really all it is.
And you also forget those obstacles where you can't, I guess, meet with like the top, I guess, wholesaler in your city or wherever you are, right? So what would you recommend to those that are like, I guess like the other person's not interested, right? But you're super interested. Would you keep saying, hey, keep going, keep trying to meet up with them, or would you be like, okay, they're not interested in you, go find other investors that are pretty much interested?
No, yeah, their gates closed, right? Their gates closed. Don't like people are too busy to talk to you. Like, you know, you're 17 years old and you talking to some rock star wholesaler, like they're not gonna like they appreciate the hustle. Maybe some of them will be like, will feel good because you're so young and they want to help out a young, hustler. But like if you're just a jokester, then they're gonna be pissed, right? And so I would just say like find people that are similar to you, right? Start hanging out with them, start doing a deal, start doing a couple deals. Like get in front of a wholesaler, maybe that's not super amazing. Just start just getting the reps in. So then, when you have the introduction to the wholesaler, the rockstar wholesaler, hey, we did 20 deals last month. We're looking to add to our database of wholesalers. Like, can we have a conversation? Right? Like if you're not on their level yet, get on their level. So and just again, I would just say go to meetups and you'll meet people that are on your level and that you like. And if you don't find anybody at one of your meetups, go back again next month or whatever, because eventually you'll find people.
Yeah, just keep showing up. That's like the best thing you can do for yourself. Even if you don't like it, even if like it just sucks and you can't even relate to anybody over there, just keep showing up.
Yeah, and ask questions. Like if it's a presentation, ask a question. Doesn't even matter if it like just ask a question, because it's uncomfortable like raising your hand and asking a question. And like I don't know if you guys are like taking class or whatever, like in the military, like get yourself in that like zone of talking to people publicly. So I don't know, like I've never been in the military, so I really can't relate. But if they have these classes where there's 30 or 40 of you and there's an instructor and they ask if there's any questions, like raise your hand and ask a question, right? Sit in the front, right? Like do those things. Like it's so easy to sit in the back and pretend like you're not there and sit on Instagram all day, but like not like go up there. Like if you're gonna be somewhere, you might as well show up and do it right. And that's something that I did in college. Was like once I like realized like, yeah, it's not comfortable sitting in the front. I would fucking sit in the front row every time. I would be that motherfucker that would ask all the questions, because like then you set your personality type for that class, and then it's like easy to ask questions for the whole rest of the year, right? So yeah. I don't know if you guys are in college or taking classes, but just take that concept. Yeah.
The Army does, they do actually make you take classes of whatever like subject it is, where it's like networking, getting better at a certain subject, right? And I do agree with your just ask questions, right? Again, I do that all the time. And I swear to God, people probably think I'm the most retarded person in that group, right? I just keep asking questions, and no matter what. And again, they'll say your question that like for me, right? If I say a question that it's like the most basic thing that even a smartest person will be like, why would you ask that question, right? But if they say who else has that same question, right? You'll see a bunch of people raising their hand, right? They're just lost. They just don't even want to ask, right? But to get more involved, you ask like the basic questions.
Yeah, it keeps you in it. Yeah, and just like interacting just keeps your mind more engaged, and so yeah.
And you'll meet a lot of people that use acronyms a lot. And that's like the hardest thing. Like if someone said house hacking, right? Even though it's not an acronym, but it's like a phrase, and someone doesn't know what that means. You probably find like 5 other people that don't know what it means. Sure. And that's not even it's like the most stupidest question, right? I ask like stupid questions all the time. Just keep asking them. People will be like, okay, this kid actually wants to learn, or he's helping out the whole group, because not a lot of people. You'll be surprised that a lot of people they do love teaching, and they'll go the extra mile of like teaching more, spending more time with you, or spending more
For
time
sure.
with the group.
For sure.
What would be your best advice for work-life balance? Do you believe in a work-life balance, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everybody, right? So, like a miracle morning actually helps my work-life balance because I really don't do anything with work during that 4 hours, right? It's meditation, it's affirmations, I mean, reading is something that I guess is kind of work related. Usually it's a productivity book.
Mhm.
My scribing is usually like I'm writing a book that has nothing to do with my work. It's just like, or maybe it has to do with real estate, or it's like house hacking, but it's not like in my day to day, right? I'm just progressing towards writing a book. Exercise. So there's that. There's getting out and having fun, right? Like, go have fun on Friday and Saturday, and I try to take Saturdays and Sundays off. I think you were trying to get me to come on Saturday. I was like, no. And so like protect that time, right?
Yeah.
Because
You're
like
good.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's my recovery time. And if I'm talking about this stuff on a Saturday, then I'm not recovering for the next week. And like, so yeah, get out there, get out in nature. That always reinvigorates me, and get around positive people, right? Like get around positive people that are going to uplift you.
Yeah. And guys, everything is adjustable, right? Everything adjustable. I didn't say like, oh yeah, you can't come on Saturday. Oh, we can't do it, right? I'll adjust my time so it can fit yours, because
Yeah,
everything I thought that in life first, like, well, I can't do that now. Oh, it's game over. It always goes back to real estate too. Or like if you don't get that loan, right? What are you gonna do? Sit there and quit? No, you're gonna go ask more and more and more, find the best interest for yourself, I guess, and go with the right one, because you just can't just stop. That's
for
the
sure.
worst thing you could do. And what would you say the secret sauce? All right, the secret sauce to being successful.
I wouldn't say I would just say continuous education is really big. And just surrounding yourself with people that are, that have the same mindset as you,
Okay.
is really big.
What
Yeah.
would be the best sources to get more education?
Bigger pockets is, I mean, just follow people that you can follow me on Instagram, follow Bigger Pockets, have you guys, do you know Dan Sheik's Freaks? Have you heard of
Yeah,
that?
I know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like if you guys aren't part of his mastermind group, like there's your crew right there.
Yeah.
Right. So he's a good friend of mine as well. And so like, yeah, like, just get around people that are similar to you, that have the same goals and are in alignment with life. You'll find your tribe, and then, prosper with them.
Nice. And do you have a quote that you live by every single day?
I used to be a big quote guy, but I kind of went away from it. Honestly, it's just kind of like get uncomfortable, right? Or like, I always go back to like get uncomfortable. Your success is directly correlated to the amount of uncomfortable situations you put yourself in. And so just keep getting uncomfortable. Like you guys are a lot of you guys are military. Like that discipline that you guys have is like unmatched. Fucking lean into that. Like lean into that ritual, lean into that routine. Like who cares if you go to bed at midnight the night before? Like wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning. Like, right? Like stay consistent, stay disciplined with everything. Like, I've done this 75 hard routine, and one of the things it calls for is a outdoor 45-minute workout, and I always do it January to March because that's the worst time of the weather, right? And it's fucking snowing, raining right now, and I'm about to go outside for a run. So like, go like have that discipline, right? Like, and you guys are way more disciplined than me. I can promise
Oh
you that.
no,
But like,
nah.
lean into that. Lean into that.
You're not giving yourself credit,
I mean, I'm
Craig.
pretty disciplined, but I
Yeah.
fuck up sometimes. January, I'm pretty good usually because it's like, yeah, but in December, I'll rake in the cookies and stuff for sure. But
Yeah. I look at it like not as a streak, but more of a percentage. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That goes with everything in life. Like, oh,
well,
I broke a streak. That means I can ruin my stuff. No, just look at a percentage. Wow, you're pretty successful 98% of the time. You can get that. You can bring that up to 99, like in a couple
for
of weeks.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to look at it. I always look at it too, like, oh, I've like done this so many days in a row. I don't want to fuck it up now,
Yeah.
right? Like, it works either way, I guess. But yeah, but once you mess it up, be like, oh, 99 out of 100 is still pretty good. So I'll make it 100 out of 101.
Yeah, that's good right there. And we're gonna go through the question round now with these guys. These guys are gonna ask you their personal questions, or if they have like any more questions that they want to ask you. So we're gonna start with Francisco Pena. Oh, he's in a call right now, so I didn't see that. So we're just gonna go with Devin Hicks here. All right,
How you doing,
Devin.
Mr. Craig?
How's it going, Devin? Good to meet you, my friend.
I'm good. Nice to meet you too. I had a couple of scenario questions for you, if you didn't mind.
Yeah.
So early on, in you say you're early on into the real estate game, would it be a good idea to find an internship with a mentor or a company, and then leverage that situation to start your own gig or brand?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of what I did. I started at bigger. I mean, it wasn't an internship; it was a job. I started at Bigger Pockets, and got the opportunity to write a book for them. And then once that exploded, I had to quit because my side hustle was taken over. I got a buddy who worked at a commercial real estate company, helping manage apartment buildings, and he quit there, and now he owns 9 apartment buildings. So yeah, like that's a very good way to get your resources and hopefully get paid to learn.
Okay. Would you ever open yourself up to being a mentor to a group of guys or anything like that?
So yeah, so it depends. I do have like this house hacking university, where we hop on Zoom calls every week, and I kind of help coach, guide, and mentor people through their first house hacks and all that.
Okay.
If you're looking to be like an investor, real estate agent, that would be something that we probably have to talk about outside of this, just to see kind of like what you're looking to do and where you're looking to fit. But I mean, if you're offering up like free labor, I'm sure we can always find a place for you.
Right. And earlier when you were speaking on your morning routine, what was the S again? I didn't catch that one.
So there's 2 S's. There's silence and meditation, and then there's scribing or writing. But
Okay.
he used scribing because saber is not as cool as a word.
Right. Okay. And last question. Now, earlier you were talking about having a set number as a goal for like what you were trying to make and how many units you would have, but then you were kind of teetering on if you were going to grow. And as a man, you always want to keep growing and things like that. So my question for you is, how high would you expect to be by the time you're 50?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. Like, it's so hard to project, 20 plus years out for me. I don't know. Like, I could easily be up to, 100,000, a million a month for sure. Right. I just don't know if I'm going to want to put in the work to get there. And I don't know if I need to, right? Like, if we're so happy on $20,000 a month of passive income, we might just work on paying down all of our mortgages. So, it's not the most efficient way to build wealth, but then we got $40,000 a month of passive income with no debt, and we're living we're living the perfect lifestyle. So like, why stress myself to hit some number to impress people I don't give a shit about?
Right.
So, and it's hard, right? Because I'm around people, man. I got a buddy. He went from a negative net worth to $150 million net worth in 2 years, right? He makes millions of dollars every month. He's nuts. And I'm just like, dude, like, I fucking love to see your growth, man. And I'm his biggest cheerleader. But I look at the work that he's doing, and I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to put in that work, right? And so it's how bad do you want the extra passive income? And when is enough, and only you can have that decision,
right? Because I seen a quote today, actually. Elon Musk said he still works 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and he's a billionaire.
Yeah, he's like the richest guy in the world. So like,
yeah,
he doesn't care about the money. He's trying to change the world, right? And so he's not motivated by an extra $1 billion. He's motivated by getting life on Mars or getting internet to
Right.
people in villages, wherever. But like, so it's kind of like, yeah, like what is that motivation? And at some point, it's not going to be money. So like,
Mhm.
if you're making $100 million a month or something, you're not going to care for an extra $1 million a month. I almost promise you that.
Nah.
Like, you're going to be like, how do I give back?
Mhm.
What impact can I have? And so if you want to impact the masses, you figure out how to do that. If you just want to impact your family, right, then you kind of shut things down and, hang out with your
Mhm.
family. So it just depends on what you want.
Okay. All right. And my final question is: you were talking about, we were talking about the 5 people that you should be hanging around, and you gave the 30, 30, 30, and you said that at your level you hang around people. Well, you said 30% of the time you hang around people at your level for accountability reasons. And my question for you is: are they all successful in investing, or are they investing? I mean, or are they all successful in different categories, like construction? One's in construction, one guy owns a couple of gyms, or are they all
Mm,
the same as you?
They're the people that I spend, they're mostly real estate guys. Yeah, just because
Okay.
we do. And there's no formula, right? Who do you get along with? It's just like,
Hmm.
right? Like, yeah, like I wouldn't not hang out with someone because they're like in the tech space, or and they got a
Right.
construction company. Or I would not hang out with anybody even if they work in. I mean, one of my good friends is a contractor. Like,
Hmm.
I don't not hang out with them, but it's just like, where is their vision? Where's their alignment? And like, who's going to keep me accountable, right? Who am I not afraid to like disclose like my passive income to and my net worth to, and all of these things. uh and that's like who I try to get around, because they'll help push me up, and they'll help in areas where I need help, and I'll help them in areas where they need help.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Craig.
Cool, thanks, Devin.
Yeah, I also recommend the whole charity thing too. I always tell these guys, like, whenever I start, like, I made them like a spreadsheet and all that, and basically one of the first categories is charity, right? Even if it's like a little as like $5, right? It's a habit that you want to start making, because again, if you're not giving charity now, what makes you think you're gonna start giving charity once you make millions of dollars? I mean,
Yep.
yeah, you also had to go with that. And we got Gabe here with his question. Go ahead, Gabe.
Okay. My question is, what characteristic of yours has brought you the most success in your life?
Probably just grit, hard work, and discipline. Like, I'm not the smartest person. I've always had to work really hard for like good grades and for anything. And so just like that discipline, that consistency, that action, that willing to like put in the work when no one else is wanting to, that willing to like wake up early even when it sucks, and like, go do that workout even when I don't want to. Like, that's got to be it. Like yesterday, I'm training for an Ironman, and my bike is in storage right now, so I had to go on the stationary bike. You guys ever ridden on a stationary bike and how fucking boring that is?
Mhm.
And
Terrible.
so I did it called for an hour and a half bike workout. And so I did an hour and a half bike workout with no headphones on a stationary bike, and like a fucking, it was horrible, right? But like having that discipline to like do it anyway and be like, okay, I'm gonna be entertained by the sweat dripping off my face onto the mat, right? And just like count my sweat drops and just like whatever it is. But like having that like mental discipline to like get through something like that, I think is big. And you guys, again, I'm not sure if you're a military guy or one of the military guys or not, but like, you know, if you're here, like you've got it, man. You got it in you. You just got to like pull it out of you.
I feel
And
like
have
you're a
you
big
always had
fan.
it?
Say it again, Gabe.
Oh, I was gonna ask if like you said you always had it, but like was there ever a point where you realized like like I'm not regular. Like I go above and beyond.
Mm, no, I think I am regular. I just tell myself I'm not. It's kind of like the self-talk in your head. Like David, guys know David Goggins.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say,
Yeah.
are you a
Yeah.
big fan of David
Yeah,
Goggins?
like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fucking listen to a David Goggins video like on repeat or something, or listen to Can't Hurt Me and like tell me you're not pumped up. Tell me you're not gonna go like, swim in 33-degree water. Like, right? Like it's just like you gotta just like get out of your head and like, yesterday on the bike, I thought about hopping off early so many times. And I'm like, there's 10 minutes left. I was like in my cool down, and it's so easy to skip the cool down because it's the cool down, right? It's for freaking wimps. And I was like, I've been here for like an hour and 20 minutes. Like 10 minutes is not going to change my day, but I will feel like shit if I go home and don't finish and get this far done, right? And so like, just think of how you'll feel, right? When you like promise yourself you're going to do something and then you go back on that promise. That kind of keeps me motivated too.
That's also a habit.
Yeah.
You don't want to keep on quitting on everything. It starts from the beginning too.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you though, are you a big David Goggins fan? Or is you all I hear is David
like-
Goggins out of your mouth, Craig?
Yeah, I like David Goggins. Yeah, I mean, I just love when someone tells me I'm like a little bitch or something, and like, yeah, pumps me up.
All right, we got Francisco Pena here with his
Hell
question.
yeah. All right. Awesome. It is time. All right. So earlier you said that you bought your first property in Denver, right, Mr. Craig?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So
God damn, Pena, you're lagging.
would you recommend, what would you prefer, less income or a high cost area,
Shoot, I
but
think-
less you're like
I think it lagged out.
I'm
Yeah,
lagging?
Yeah, no, it lagged everybody
Okay.
out. Pete,
Yeah,
what was your
sorry.
question?
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
right.
So
Yeah.
low cost area, but more homes, which means less income because it's in a low cost area. Or would you start out in a high cost area, but less homes, but more income?
Just say wherever you are, man.
Okay.
Just start house hacking and say step one. So wherever you are, like take what your life gives you. I started off in Denver. It was higher cost, but not the highest cost of area for the thing. And it appreciated like crazy, right? And it made me wealthy through the appreciation. But like, I know a lot of people that started off in low cost areas. They got a whole bunch of units. They got the same amount of cash flow as I do. They just scaled up quicker, or they just scaled the, their unit count is way higher than mine, but our passive income is the same. So it's just whatever way you want to go.
Okay. And weird question, but like starting out, would you recommend somebody living in a car like for a while, like not making any house payments or like rent payments and just working out from the car to get money to like get down payment to buy a home or a duplex or something like that? Would you recommend that lifestyle?
If you can bear it, man, do it. I'd say like getting a van or like a camper or a trailer would probably be nice at least. But
Okay.
like, I mean, I got a buddy that lived out of his Honda Civic for a year.
Oh my
He-
God.
By
dropped-
choice or like,
Yeah, by choice. Yeah. His house hacking.
Okay.
Like he dropped the back seats that laid into the trunk, and he could sleep. He could sleep fully in the back, and had like a little, and I was like, dude, hell yeah, good for you.
Because for any property that you're trying to live in, like the FHA, all it says you have to live on the property, right? It doesn't say you have to live in the house.
No, it doesn't even say that. It has to be your primary residence.
Yeah.
You don't have to
So-
live on the property. It just has to be your primary residence, and
Oh,
they're
okay.
not going to expect your van or a
Oh,
trailer to
okay.
be your primary residence.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess because I just see a bunch of people like, oh yeah, I would just park my RV in front of my property and just live in there. I mean, that could
Well,
work
you
too.
got to find a place to park your RV, and usually your
Yeah.
property is a good place for that. But-
Yeah.
And if you do the RV thing, like, you can just treat the RV kind of as like an additional bedroom, but you can still like go in the house to use the shower and use the bathroom, use the kitchen. So you can like still have that utility, but you can still rent out all the rooms, right? And that's how you make your money.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. All right, I've got another question.
Go ahead.
So whenever you get to a point where like you're financially free and able to do whatever you want, aren't you scared of that you may be really bored and trapped in a loop where you're just doing nothing because you already done everything?
there's always other challenges that you're going to have. Like,
Okay.
I kind of hit that, like, I know this past year in 2021, I was like pretty comfortable. I had financial independence, and I didn't really know like where I hit it. So I kind of hit it at age 26, right? It was like lean fi, but I knew I wanted to like have some luxuries. And then this past year in 2021, I was like, I kind of hit there again. Like I had a real estate team that was really operating like without me much, making me decent money. And I was just kind of like, well, shit, now what? Right. And then it's kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, like, my fiance and I, we're closing on like our kind of like our forever home next week. So like that's coming into the picture, right? And we're
Okay.
talking about, kids and all that. And so it's like, okay, well, like I'm financially free from the lifestyle I had last year with her, but now I'm trying to prepare for this new lifestyle of like a little bit more luxury, right? Like we're buying a $1 million home where I'm still driving a shitty car, but I'm going to continue doing that because I just think it's funny. And then, but you start introducing like these different, we want to do a beach trip every quarter, right? Okay.
Okay.
Add that to the expenses, right? We want to buy our supplements and our organic foods and our grass-fed, grass-finished, and do all our biohacking shit, like have a sauna and a cold bath, right? Like, okay, added expenses, right? How do I, so you kind of just keep introducing luxuries into your life and then working for them. It's kind of how I stay motivated.
All right. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
Also,
go ahead,
so-
Finya. I was gonna
Alright.
say like it also goes with your passion too. Like who knows? Like
Yeah.
after you reach financial freedom, you might just start being an author, or you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to start
yeah.
I want to start my own gym business. Try new things. You're literally the world is your vast. It's your oyster. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Work at
Yeah.
McDonald's because I'm just bored.
Yeah, you can
at
start
it.
working
That's
at
the thing.
McDonald's if you want.
Go get a
Yes.
part-time waitressing job, waiting job or
Yeah.
something.
Just like fuck
Yeah, like-
around at these
yeah,
jobs.
And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't mean like if you like your job, I mean, you're just gonna have a different point of view on it. Like now
Yeah.
you're not going there for money, right? Now
Just
you're going
because
there
you like it. Yeah.
because you like it. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a different motive for you. So what was the other
That
thing you
makes
were about to say?
Oh, so I don't know. You talked about your hobbies or not. I was in the call like for most of the time to work. But what hobbies would you like recommend starting or like getting interested in that could like benefit you in the lifestyle that you're trying to develop financial freedom? Like what hobbies
It's
would you
just
push?
whatever recharges you, bro. Like,
Okay.
I like to get outside, so I like to hike and I like to exercise, and I like to go on trips that involve outdoor stuff and stuff like that. So that's what I do. But like, I don't know, if you like playing guitar, then go play the guitar, right? Like if you like,
Oh yeah.
I think
Right.
Pena is also asking like, what activities should you do? Like, should you start doing like working at construction? Should you start trying to become a real estate agent to get involved in real estate?
okay. When you said hobbies, I kind of thought
Yeah.
like recreationally.
Yeah, activities, hobbies.
Oh, what'd you say?
Yeah, like hobbies or activities that help out with real estate.
Yeah, he meant what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, so like, real estate agent is a good one to get into as like a side hustle. Construction, if you want to get into construction, but be careful with construction because like ideally you don't want to, like, construction is 20, 30, 40 $40 an hour work. And as a real estate investor, you're going to be making thousands of dollars an hour. And so it's really easy to get caught up in I can just go over and fix that myself, or I'll just go, add that bathroom myself when really it's probably you shouldn't be doing that. But to get started, construction would be good. Real estate agent. I would just say like networking, dude, is so huge. Like your relationships, that's how you're going to get deals. That's how you're going to get financing. That's how you're going to get people who are going to get you deals and get you financing. Like it's
That's right.
relationships are the biggest thing.
Nice,
Those are my questions.
nice, good job, Pena.
Appreciate you.
We got Alexander here. Go ahead. You still got that Xbox username going on, but we're okay with it.
Hey, what's up, Craig? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, sorry I came a little bit late. I got work and everything, but just gotta ask like a mindset question. So basically, is when do you know there's a point where you could get too greedy, and when do you know where you can humble yourself, and when's that time period you can humble yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I think money just is a magnifier of your personality. And so if you're an asshole, money's going to make you more of an asshole, right? You guys know who Jeffrey Epstein is,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like that's a perfect example, right? But like Warren Buffett, right? He donates so much money each year and all that kind of stuff, right? And so it's like there's having that like idea of like, one, you always got to know where you came from, right? So it's always I always, my family is kind of like my roots, right? Like my mom and my dad, like they're still pretty blue collar. They don't have a lot of money. They still like, I help them out a decent amount. And so like that feels good to me. And that keeps me humbled because it reminds me of where I came from, right? My friends back home, I see them once or twice a year. right? That humbles me. That and just kind of remembering where you came from is good. Also just kind of keeping in perspective, right? Like I always look back a year ago. So like, okay, January of 2021, where was I versus where I am now? Like how much farther am I along? How about 2 years ago? Like, or remembering when like $100 felt like a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
And like that stays humbling. And then just again, remembering your goal of like 10,000 a month or 20,000 a month and being like, shoot, well, I'm there. Like that feels like really good that I got there. Right. And I don't know, just always kind of remember where you came from, I would say is a big thing.
Okay. And shoot. I don't know. I just want to say like I always like every time we have all these podcasts and everything, I see everybody, the people who have been invited on here, who we're learning from. I see how they're dressed and how they think, how they are and how they look, and I always could tell that they're always comfortable in who they are, and they could tell like how they dress. They're not like they don't change themselves, and they're still their own self. And I'm like, I kind of respect that, and I kind of see how everybody's doing. Like I see how you are. You tell us they do hiking, do all this stuff, and all that to me is just very humbling to see. You know,
For sure, dude. Yeah, I would say being authentic, man. That's like what I live by. And that's what my team lives by. Is like it's one of our core values. Like you got to just be your authentic self. And like man, I felt like I quit my job, so I never had to wear a fucking suit again. And so
yeah,
I got to get dressed up for my wedding, and I'm pretty pissed about it. So like,
yeah, I feel that.
yeah. So this is about as dressed up as I get. So
I understand. Thank you very much.
for sure.
And yeah, when you said $100, I started thinking about like the time, like, $10. I still think $10 an hour is still a lot to me because I used to work at a bakery when I was 16 and I hated it. I hated every single one because they made me do everything like killing the rats, killing like handling people's food. I was like, what is going on here? This is the worst job for only $10 an hour. Like, so I'm like, okay, every money of this, right? Even if I spend like not being cheap, but being frugal, like there's two different things. I'm like, okay, should I spend this $60 buying this video game? Or should I spend like the $60 into my new investment? Because again, I don't want to think back. I don't want to go back in time to that moment where I was killing those rats for $10 an hour. It was not worth it. Telling you that.
For sure. No way. Yeah. And those are the jobs that humble you too. So
Yeah.
remember those jobs. Yeah.
All right. And we got Josh. Josh, are you there?
Oh, looks like he's frozen.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, he was here though. But I'll go with my questions here. So how do you feel about courses, Craig? Because I know, and masterminds too, because all these guys, again, they still believe $100 is still a lot to them because again, they're 19, 18, and they're still trying to make their money up. But how do you feel about like spending, I don't know, $5,000 on a course or $100 or like $500 every month on a mastermind? Again, people say, hey, being in this group will help you a lot. But again, it's like, but this $500, I can invest that into this other stuff and probably be comfortable with that. What would you recommend to those? Like they get all this stuff about, and people that they trust too, right? I swear to God, if Brandon Turner came out with a course about spend $20,000, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I might guilt trip myself into that. But what would you recommend to those like those people that you look up to and they're offering this course, but you just can't, you can barely afford it, but it's a good thing for you.
Yeah. It's an investment in yourself. So don't think of it as like you're wasting the money you're spending. It's an investment in yourself. And do your research on the person, do your research on that. And if it can think about the numbers, right? Like, let's say you spend $500 on a course or something. And if that course can save you $1,000, hello, it's worth its money, right? I'm not selling you guys, but we have our house hacking university. It's $500. And it will go to 1,000, and we have these promos and all that. And it's like, we'll get you a house hack in like 3 to 6 months. You'll save tens of thousands of dollars if you go through with it and actually get the house hack. But ultimately, like, you can pay the money, but you still got to do the work, right? You've got the accountability. That mastermind, that course, that whatever is going to increase your speed. You're paying for time by buying those things. I'd be careful, right? Like, I don't think if you're spending in the thousands of dollars, be careful, right? Because then you're like, okay, like you got to have one-on-one with someone that's pretty high powered, right? And how much value are you really getting, right? Like, and so just I would maybe just start with like, start with like 100. There's something like it's $100 a month or something, right? Or 500. Like make some investments into yourself. Again, Dan's Chic Freaks thing. I think he offers a premium thing where it's like $100 a month or something.
Yeah.
And like go do that, right? See if there's value. See if there's value in that. And if and you can always stop doing it, right? There's no way they're going to be like, oh, you must. And if they have to commit for a year or something, fuck that. Like no.
Mhm.
But if it's just if it's a monthly subscription, do it for a couple months and see what it is. If it's a course, buy it, check it out, see what it is. I bet you it will. If you go through with it, it'll have some information in there that will help you. That'll help you act quicker.
Yeah. I'm just saying it because that's my personal dilemma that I've been in. Like I spend like, I don't know, $6,000 on a course, right? Probably like personally, I thought it was the biggest mistake that I've ever done. But
Mhm.
because it talks about like, again, house hacking and all that. It's not like your course or anything. It's like some random dude. I don't want to say his name, but
Oh, well, now I want to know my competition.
but basically,
$6,000 though on a house hacking course.
yeah, it was not just house hacking, it was just general
Oh,
real estate, right? I'm like,
okay.
save 20%, put it down. I'm like, wow, I learned all that throughout books, right?
Mhm.
And that goes with my other question. Like, when do you think it's like enough? Like, what was that phrase where it's like you're trying to learn a lot just and you're distracting yourself from pursuing your goals? What was
Yeah.
that? What's that called? It's like paralysis analysis. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing that definitely happens. And those accountability groups and those masterminds that you join will help you with that because you'll see people taking action and it'll make you want to take action. And like, we say like by the end of like the house hacking university is like, by the time you're done with this course and you do those modules, like, and you have access to me every single week, there's no reason why you shouldn't be house hacking. Literally, I'm here to coach you, right? We have everything you need. Like the only thing that's stopping you is you. And so, yeah,
Gotcha. And
that's it.
knowing like the David Goggins mindset, right? Like, hey, when does it get to the point where like you're not dependent on people anymore and you start doing it yourself? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't need anyone to tell me to wake up and go to school, right? I can do it myself. Like that. I guess like that growing up phase. Do you believe in that, or do you believe like
I
you
think
should
you
always
gotta
be accountable?
kind of have that first, right? Because you got to like hop on the call,
Yeah, that's true.
right? You got to show up. So you got to have that first, and then, I mean, I don't really care that other people like are keeping me accountable or not. Like, I'm gonna do it no matter what. Like, sure, maybe I feel like a little shittier, but at the end of the day, I don't care. I'll say I didn't do it, right? But usually it's just like it's more of like, oh, I see my buddy out there buying that apartment buildings. Well, like, why can't I? Like if he can do it, I can do it, right? And that's more the accountability piece than like making sure like you wake up in the morning or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah. And one thing for house hacking, how do you start finding your tenants? Because I know in the book you talked about like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Have you changed that? Because I know from my perspective, like Facebook Marketplace is not really good for my area of the market because a lot of people from Facebook Marketplace, they're kind of like probably like bad tenants, I guess. I had a bad experience with them, I guess you would say. And you're not finding a lot of people with like 700 credit score or 650, or even that they're probably like 500 and they don't know why, right? And I'm also using Roomies, which is a lot better.
Mhm.
But what else would you recommend for finding more tenants or more reliable tenants?
Um, Depends on your area. So I'm not Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, Roomies is good, Roomster. Uh, just go Google like rooms for rent
Mhm.
and look at the platforms that they have to
Gotcha.
offer, and then put it on their platforms.
God damn it, Craig.
Yeah.
Look it up on Google.
Yeah,
I like
that's an
that.
easy
I
way to
mean, that's
answer. Yeah, I
again,
mean, there's no like, I mean, what works in Denver is Facebook Marketplace and Roomies and Roomster. But if you're telling me that doesn't work, then I would just say like, Google, like, try to list a room for rent, see
yeah.
what pops up, or try to rent a room and see what pops up, and then go list it on those sites.
Yeah. Again, you are right about that because again, it's all about that reassurance because any of these answers that we're answering right here, you could literally just Google, look up on Reddit. I mean, you could literally just find all the answers you want, right? And if the majority of people say, hey, house hacking is good for you, well, now you know your answer. You don't have to like ask like these type of questions, but it's good as well. I mean,
Mhm.
again, like it's because I kind of want to see if like, hey, do you know like any other sources of getting tenants? Are you doing like direct mail, or I don't know, just some like dumb stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying some stuff
I
now.
mean, Facebook groups are pretty big too.
Oh
so
yeah.
check those out. But yeah, I probably got like 2 more minutes to give you guys. I do have to head out here soon. So
Okay, we're gonna
Josh,
go.
I don't know if Josh had any questions.
Yeah,
He was
Josh, go ahead.
He was lagging before.
Yes, sorry, appreciate your time. So I have one question here. My question, I always like to ask this. The question is, if you were forced to restart, you're an 18-year-old, you just turned 18, you got $7,000 to your name. What are your first few steps?
I would definitely be house hacking first. So like figure out a way to house hack. Maybe ask parents for a loan or partner or whatever, like get into real estate as you can. Get networking, get educating, be sharp, be smart, be motivated, be eloquent, like join Toastmasters. Learn how to like convince and have a conversation with people, learn how to sell. And then once you learn those skills, then you can you can find deals, you can raise money, you can do that, and just think quicker, think bigger. But all while house hacking, right? Like house hacking that should be like a side thing. You do it once a year, and then in the meantime, grow your business, whether it's a wholesaling business or multifamily or whatever it is. But think big.
Appreciate it, man.
Gotcha. And
sure.
one last thing, Craig. I asked this to a bunch of people. So all readers are leaders. Not all readers are not leaders, but all leaders are readers. So what are some books that you recommend that would help out these guys right here? You can't say your book, right? Because I already told them about your book. So
Yeah.
can't even say that.
It definitely depends on what you want to do, but like, again, the foundational books for me, even The Miracle Morning, 4-Hour Work Week, The One Thing. I'm sure you guys have heard of these. Have you guys heard these?
I've heard of these. So these guys
Um,
have them.
Okay. Yeah. So those are the top 3 books that I think every person should read. The One Thing, The Miracle Morning, and 4-Hour Work Week. I mean, there's a million other books that I could ramble off to you, but
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that.
those are the big ones.
Those are the top 3. Yeah.
Mindset and yeah.
I appreciate it, Craig. And again, thanks for coming, and again, congratulations on getting married.
Cool.
Yes.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
We did love you having here, and I'm sorry about the whole like time thing. I
Yeah.
probably should have again. I'm gonna start using Calendly right
Dude,
now.
tell me, man,
I'll put it on my YouTube recommendation of how to use it. So on my watch later. So that's what I'm gonna start doing into.
Yeah, you get people that are like super busy. Like I don't even look at my email half the time, and like like my assistant will do it, and it's just way easier. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
I appreciate it,
We'll
Craig.
see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later, guys.
Thank
See
Yep,
ya.
bye-bye.